Loneliness in old age doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly, often without warning, shaped by habits so small they barely seem to matter. Yet these habits quietly push people away, leaving seniors isolated, bitter, and forgotten. Picture: Harold, 74. He once had a circle of friends at church, neighbors who checked in and children who visited often. But over the years his habits changed. He stopped returning calls. He complained more than he laughed. He dismissed invitations because he wasn't in the mood. Harold never realized that each choice was building a wall around him. By the time he noticed, the house was quiet, the phone silent, and his world unbearably small. Loneliness is not just sad, it's dangerous. Studies show that isolation in seniors can be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It weakens the immune system, damages the heart, and speeds up memory loss. But what makes it truly cruel is how invisible the process feels. It starts with habits that seem harmless. The first habit is silence itself. Seniors who stop reaching out, who wait for others to make the effort, slowly disappear from people's lives. Friends assume you're busy. Family thinks you don't care. Over time, connections fade. Another is constant negativity. Complaining about health, money, or the state of the world may feel like venting, but for those listening, it drains energy. People pull back without even realizing it. These habits don't just cost company, they cost life itself. Seniors who grow old alone face higher risks of depression, illness, and even early death. But here's the hope. Once you see the habits, you can change them. And changing them can rebuild bridges, restore trust, and bring people back. The journey begins with awareness. Just as Harold's loneliness was built one habit at a time, connection can also be rebuilt, one habit at a time. The choice belongs to you. In the next chapter, we'll look at the first silent habit that drives people away, withdrawing from communication. When you stop picking up the phone or replying to messages, you send a signal louder than words that you don't care, and nothing isolates a senior faster than silence. Isolation often begins with small silences. A missed call here, a postponed visit there, a text left unanswered. To the person pulling away, it feels harmless. To everyone else, it feels like rejection. Take Evelyn, 71. After retiring, she found herself overwhelmed with free time. At first, she kept up with friends and family, but slowly she stopped picking up the phone. She told herself she would call back later, but later never came. Invitations to lunches or outings were politely declined, then ignored. Within a year, her social circle had shrunk to almost nothing. Her friends assumed she no longer wanted company. The truth was she felt lonely but didn't know how to bridge the gap she had created. Withdrawing from communication is one of the most silent but destructive habits. It doesn't push people away with conflict. It simply lets them drift away. Loved ones stop calling, friends stop inviting, and family assumes you're too busy or uninterested. Without realizing it, you've trained others to stop reaching out. This withdrawal doesn't just hurt relationships, it harms mental health. Seniors who cut themselves off are more likely to develop depression and anxiety. Lack of conversation weakens memory, slows thinking, and even increases the risk of dementia. The brain, much like the body, needs exercise, and communication is one of its most powerful workouts. The solution begins with intention. Even if you don't feel like talking, make the effort. Call one friend a week, reply to messages, even with something short, write a letter or send an email. Communication doesn't have to be long or perfect. It just has to exist. For those who feel left behind by technology, there's no shame in learning. Community centers often offer classes on using smartphones, video calls, or messaging apps. Staying connected doesn't require being tech-savvy. It only requires being willing. It's important to remember that communication is not just about words, it's about presence. When you reach out, you remind people that you care, that you're still here, and that the relationship matters. Without that reminder, silence fills the space, and silence can be misread as disinterest. Loneliness grows in silence, but connection grows in communication. Each message, each phone call, each simple "How are you?" plants a seed of belonging. In the next chapter, we'll explore another habit that drives people away: constant negativity, complaining, criticizing, or focusing only on what's wrong. May feel like release, but to those around you it becomes a heavy weight, and over time people quietly walk away from that weight. Every relationship is like a balance sheet. People bring joy, comfort, and encouragement on one side, and they bring burdens, complaints, and worries on the other. When the burdens outweigh the joy, even the closest relationships begin to crack. Negativity is one of the most powerful forces that pushes people away, especially in old age. Seniors often don't realize how heavy their words can feel to others. Complaining about aches, money, politics, or how bad things are nowadays might feel harmless. But to friends and family it becomes draining. Take Frank, 76. His daughter used to visit him every weekend, but each time he would spend the visit listing his health problems, criticizing her choices, and talking about everything wrong in the world. Over time the visits became shorter, then less frequent. Finally, she only called once a month. Frank didn't notice that his constant negativity was pushing her away. He only noticed the silence that followed. Negativity doesn't just harm relationships, it harms health. Studies show that people who focus on the negative have higher levels of stress hormones, weaker immune systems, and shorter lifespans. Negativity doesn't just make life lonely, it makes life shorter. That doesn't mean you should pretend everything is perfect. Sharing struggles and challenges is human. The problem arises when negativity becomes the main conversation. If every phone call, every visit, every message is filled with complaints, people begin to associate you with heaviness, and eventually they avoid it. The solution isn't to ignore problems, but to balance them. For every complaint, try to share something positive. If your knee hurts but you enjoyed a beautiful sunrise, mention both. Gratitude, even in small doses, changes how others experience your presence. It also changes how you feel about yourself. Another strategy is practicing positive listening. Instead of waiting to share your worries, focus on the person you're with. Ask them about their day. Show interest. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel seen and valued. Negativity is a habit, and like all habits, it can be unlearned. It starts with awareness, then practice, then persistence. If you notice people drifting away, ask yourself, am I giving them light or only shadows? In the next chapter, we'll uncover another silent habit that isolates seniors: refusing help or pushing others away. Independence is important, but when it turns into pride or stubbornness, it builds walls that loved ones eventually stop trying to climb. Independence is deeply valued, especially in old age. After decades of working, raising families, and managing life, many seniors take pride in doing things alone. But when independence turns into stubbornness, it quietly pushes people away. Take Rose, 78. Her son offered to pick up groceries, but she always said no. Her neighbor asked if she needed a ride to the doctor, and she refused. At first, people admired her independence, but over time, her refusals felt like rejection. Her son stopped offering, her neighbor stopped asking, and Rose found herself struggling in silence. What she thought was strength ended up building distance. Refusing help often comes from fear. Fear of being seen as weak, fear of becoming a burden, fear of losing control. But ironically, refusing help can create exactly what you're trying to avoid: loneliness. Loved ones feel unneeded, friends feel unappreciated, family feels shut out. It also takes a toll on health and safety. Seniors who refuse assistance often face higher risks of falls, missed medications, or delayed medical care. Pride doesn't prevent accidents. Sometimes it invites them. Accepting help doesn't mean losing independence. It means strengthening connections. When you let someone cook a meal, drive you to an appointment, or fix something around the house, you give them a gift, the chance to care. Helping makes others feel useful and valued. Turning them away repeatedly makes them feel unimportant. The solution is balance. Ask yourself, can I do this safely on my own? If not, accept the offer. Better yet, invite it. Say yes when your daughter wants to help with the bills. Let your friend carry the heavy bag. Accepting help doesn't take away your dignity. It shows trust. For those who truly fear becoming a burden, there's another perspective. Refusing. Help isolates you. Accepting help builds connection. The small act of saying yes to support keeps relationships alive. When seniors let pride dictate their choices, they often end up alone. But when they embrace interdependence, needing each other, giving and receiving, they find that relationships grow deeper, not weaker. In the next chapter, we'll look at another habit that drives people away: living in the past and refusing to adapt. Nostalgia can be comforting, but when seniors resist change, it alienates them from the people and the world around them. Loneliness in old age is not destiny. It's often the result of silent habits, habits that build walls instead of bridges. Silence, negativity, stubbornness, gossip, withdrawal, or clinging too tightly to the past. Each one chips away at connection until nothing is left but emptiness. But here's the truth: habits can be changed. And when they change, life changes. Think of Gerald, 79. After years of refusing help and snapping at his children, he noticed the visits had nearly stopped. His world felt smaller every day. One afternoon, he looked at his quiet living room and realized he had created his own prison. Instead of giving up, he decided to change. He started answering calls, saying yes to help, sharing gratitude instead of complaints. Slowly, his family returned. His granddaughter began visiting after school again. His son called more often. Gerald wasn't perfect, but he was present, and that made all the difference. Connection doesn't require grand gestures. It grows in small moments: a returned phone call, a thank you, a smile instead of a complaint, a willingness to listen. These small habits signal warmth, trust, and openness. They draw people in. For seniors who fear being forgotten, the power lies in daily choices. Replace silence with communication. Balance negativity with gratitude. Let others help. Embrace new ways of staying in touch. Share stories of the past but remain curious about the present. Each choice strengthens the threads of connection. Loneliness is dangerous. It harms the body, clouds the mind, and shortens life. But connection heals. It protects memory, boosts health, and adds years worth living. The final habit worth adopting is hope. Hope that relationships can be restored. Hope that even if you've pushed people away, they may return if you reach out. Hope that no matter your age, you can still build new friendships, find new communities, and rediscover purpose. You don't have to grow old alone. You don't have to let these silent habits decide your future. Every day offers a chance to choose differently. Growing old with dignity isn't about doing everything by yourself. It's about allowing others in, offering love as much as receiving it, and choosing connection over isolation.